Hello, everyone, and welcome to Full-on, your Fulham-centric football podcast. I'm your host, Ash Woolford. Joining me today for our Brentford review are both the Jacks. Mozza, how you doing, buddy?
Splendid and tremendous. Thank you very much.
And AJ, how you doing, mate?
I'm like a fat kid alone in a candy shop. I'm sweet as, mate.
Fair enough, fair enough. We're obviously here to do our Brentford review a bit late, admittedly. Life has sort of got in the way this week, we know, but we wanted to get it done and talk about the game. We were all pretty happy with the result that came up on Sunday, so it would be amiss of us not to talk about it. AJ, usual question, mate. As we always start this one, we talk about the starting lineups and any shocks, anything that sort of comes into play. Other than Ryan Sessegnon not starting in this game, any other real shocks in the starting lineup for Fulham?
The continued starts of Iwobi was once again a bit of a strange one for me, but I should probably hazard a guess now that he's just simply not going to be dropped. The return of Lukic was lovely, uh, and Adama starting was an interesting surprise. Um, Outside of that, I think it was pretty much as we would expect with our injuries and our performances of late.
Yeah, I think I agree with it. I think I do. Mozza, we weren't expecting anything out of this game at all. You know, anyone who watched our preview of this game, we were all pretty downbeat on our chances. Nice, a nice performance by the lads. Yet again, proving the theory that whenever we think they're completely battered and out of it, they prove us all wrong. So,
Hmm.
uh, good performance by the lads.
Yeah, like, yeah, every Fulham fan had expectations at rock bottom, really, but we do have these moments that are very sweet, and we have to savor them. I mean, I think it was a good performance from the lads. Look, we got the result. I was a bit wary the first half. I don't know how much we can go into it, depending on what your next questions are, Ash, but yeah, going 1-0 up fairly early as well with Jimenez scoring. I was very happy. I thought that is what we need, but I did not see it. I could not foresee it, rather, finishing just 1-0, if I'm quite honest. And even going 1-0 up, I still fully expected to come away from that game with a loss. But that said, I do think the better side won. So yeah, fair play to Fulham. All credit to them, the players. Um, still some eyebrow raising decisions, like you just mentioned. No Sessegnon starting, like Traore starting. But I mean, what do I know? It worked in the grand scheme of things. So yeah.
Let's look at the first half in particular because it was quite an interesting watch. I think the game was quite open. It rather weirdly from one of these end of season games, one of two things usually happens. They're either really stalematey, where you know both teams technically had something on the line to play for during the game. They could be really stalemate, or they could be really open. I thought the game was quite open. I thought it was quite end to end, quite a lot of the time, and I think that says an awful lot about not only the way that Fulham tried to play football, but the way that Brentford tried to play football too. You know, they were two progressive football teams that try to play football attackingly. You know, although they have a lot more attacking power than we do this season by far. Um, I thought it was a decent game of football that first half. It was from a Fulham point of view, it was frustrating, obviously, because we take the lead and then we fail to capitalize on a couple of attacks, and then naturally, Brentford come back into the game from a good strike, fair enough by Buemo, and then an annoying goal by Wissa. Um, Defensively, AJ, other than the Wissa goal, which is only really frustrating because he taps it in from like less than half a yard out, I didn't think Fulham played that badly in the first half on Sunday. Um, how did you feel we sort of set up? Because Brentford are a fast attacking team. Did you feel like we set up well enough to sort of keep them quiet?
It's a bit of an odd one. We sort of set up as if to half play our style of football and half be prepared for very dangerous counter attacks from Brentford. Ironically, Brentford also came to play, which sort of helped us a little bit because it meant that they were taking an extra couple of passes in the build up that they were doing to try and present their style of football instead of going as direct as they did away to us, etc. So it's quite an interesting game in that regards, and because of that, it meant for a very almost end-to-end style game with a lot of battle in midfield. I mean, I know we're not going over the full game right now and just specifically the first half, but if we do look at the full game, there was one shot on target in our favour. There was 1 point in possession in it in Brentford's favour. There was 3 extra passes out of the entire game in Brentford's favour, and there was a couple of points in pass accuracy in our favour. It was a really tight game that was really could have swung either way based on the penalty as well.
Yeah, I think you're correct in what you say, really, because especially in that first half, it was quite open, and I think both teams were lucky not to have had a player sent off. Um, Tete probably could have been sent off. He had a couple of niggly fouls before he got yellow carded, and then I think he gets a bit lucky with the one afterwards. But in saying that, Wissa also gets away with absolute murder with what should have been a second yellow card. Um, because he's not just committed a foul, he's committed one where a player's running away from goal and he's just taking him out, and it's a bit niggly, and then it's only really made more frustrating by the fact he then scores, a few minutes later to make it 2-1. We have got to give some props to Leno, I think, because I personally, I know I've been a bit critical of him over the last couple of weeks, and some of his shot stopping. Even if you take out the penalty save on Sunday, I thought he played really, really well. Both of Brentford's goals, like there's nothing you can do about it when a striker hits a ball cleanly like Mbeumo does and scores, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about a player putting one in from like 3 centimeters. Like there's nothing you can do about that when you've already tried to make the save. Um, I thought he was superb. I thought he played really, really well, and the penalty save sort of capped that off. And I think he fully deserved the man of the match result he got from the Fulham squad. So he deserves that because we've been moaning about some of his shot stopping of late, and I think the performance on Sunday sort of quietens people down, especially me, when it comes to worrying about what we have, going forward. We look into it. We're going at half time. We're 2-1 down, but we're not out of the game by any stretch of the imagination. Marco makes a I thought, a pretty aggressive substitution by taking Sanderberg off and bringing Tom Kearney on, mainly because I don't think Sanderberg had played that badly. Um, but if there was a game where you were going to bring Tom Kearney on, it's one like this, one where you want someone to put their foot on the ball and just have a little bit of calm and a little bit of composure around keeping the ball under control. I tell you what, I didn't expect. I didn't expect him header in to make it 2-2. It was a really good attacking bit of play by Tom Kenny to equalise. But as much as that was, I think what the interesting subs that came about on Sunday was Fulham bringing on Josh King and Harry Wilson in the 66th minute. Now, those two subs, I think, really changed the game because both of those players are very progressive. They're very attack-minded, and they're very, aggressive in attacking the goal, not just getting the ball and trying to stay on it. AJ, I'm going to ask you before we go to Mozza and ask him about the goals, but you know, Josh King getting minutes is great, but it's even better when he comes on and he looks just as composed and as natural as he does in midfield. It only really highlights the question of why he's not had more game time when he comes on. He plays like he did on Sunday.
Absolutely, his substitution ultimately is what led to the goals, and it's his movement, his passage of play, and his quickness on the ball that was detrimental in us winning that game and opening up either space for Wilson for his second goal or the creative passing that resulted in the cross for Kearney's goal ultimately. So both are a credit to King. I do want to give Marco Silva some credit in terms of the Kenny substitution that you mentioned as well, because it's him showing a realization that when teams are leading against us, they're happy to sit lower and defend deeper, and he reacted to that before it got into a pattern of us being passive on the ball. He reacted to it very quickly and knew going into that second half that we were going to see some more of the ball because they were going to sit on their lead. And because of that, Kenny was introduced earlier than he probably would have been, and ultimately resulted in us being a lot more creative with the ball and a lot quicker in possession, which then got sped up even more when we saw the likes of Wilson and King enter the pitch, who were moving very quickly with the ball and moving the ball very quickly, which is a absolute credit to them and the reason we got back into the game. Which, funny fact, is the first time Fulham have ever led a game, conceded in the sense of start losing the game and then come back again to win. So that's the first time we've ever done that, which is interesting.
In the Premier League.
I believe entirely, but this is the first time Fulham have opened the scoring, trailed in the match, and then come back to come back to win in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's what I think it was indicative more of the game than anything else. It was a really, really open game, and Mozza, I know I'm going to come to you to answer this question because I know you're a bit more head on shoulders when we talk about Tom Kearney. We've been talking recently about the fact that this is probably it for him. Quite like the end of his Fulham career. His legs aren't quite as good as his head were, but he really rolled it back a bit on Sunday. I don't know what he was doing to be in the box to head of the ball. I don't know if you guys saw. There's someone to put a compilation of Tom Kenny headed goals together. And the last time he scored a headed goal for Fulham, we've been relegated. In that time we've had 3 promotions, 2 relegations. We've had 4 managers.
Global pandemic.
Yeah, a global pandemic. Not been able to go to football and come back again since he last scored a header. But it's good to see him getting up there and scoring goals like that because it shows that sometimes if you just take that risk and put yourself in the box, you'll get those opportunities. And that's one of the things we've been guilty of this season when we have games where we're struggling to score, that we just don't get people in the box.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know how much I want to sort of say right now about Tom Kearney because it might be more appropriate for our next recording that we do in our preview of Man City. But I'll try and rein it in. I don't have an issue with Tom Kearney. Great servant of the club. Mad respect, mad love for the guy. My only criticisms over the last 3 or 4 years is that I don't think he has been quite Premier League level for us. I mean, yeah, look, he scored some great goals. He scored some really important goals for us. So I could be really hypocritical here. But let's not forget there's a reason why he hasn't started an awful lot of games this season. He does come on as an impact sub. I mean, I'm old. I'm slightly older than him, believe it or not. But he's at the age where he's slowing down and looking to retire in terms of a football player's career. So that's all completely understandable. However, I wasn't excited that he was subbed on for Soderbergh in that game at that point being 2-1 down. I thought it was another bit of Marco madness with his subs. What was it? A classic 66-minute or what have you? Sorry, even before that, he did do a 66-minute one. I think that was Wilson and King. But anyway, my point is, I was like, here we go again. And yeah, I eat my words, happily eat my words. I don't want to get into it really. If it was a fluke, if he was in the right place at the right time, and he got that goal. I mean, we talk about. Well, I talk about a fluke there. I don't want to mention about it might have been a deflection, but he did the cross. Who cares? It was a great equaliser. So yeah, like it was a special moment. I don't want to romanticize it. As I say, we might romanticize it a bit more in our next recording in our preview, because I've seen some stuff today about what may happen at Craven Cottage in our season. But yeah, I'll shock you. I do love Tom Kearney. Even if I
AJ,
do pronounce his name wrong right there.
AJ, what happens next will sort of have Thomas Frank waking up in the middle of the night, you know, sounding like Chuck Noland, as
Wilson.
as the Welsh Wizard scores again and does it against Brentford. Superb finish. Why have we not been shooting from distance all season if we have players that can do it? It's so frustrating to see us score an absolute banger from 30 yards and no other player in the squad has the bottle to take shots on like that. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'd argue it's often because of our slow build-up that we're not put in a position with much space between us and defenders at the edge of the box to actually take long shots or provide ourselves space or opportunity to take long shots. Even in this instance, Wilson's shot probably wasn't from his ideal position of taking them towards the edge of the box. It was very much a snapshot after he got an extra yard thanks to an extra touch. But I'd definitely love to see us work on a way of using our wingers and dragging players out wide more often so that we can use these inverted wingers to actually score really, really good long shot goals. Because, yeah, Kenny's getting on a bit, but even he hasn't had the space this season for his traditional long shots. And we normally get one a season out of him. It's just, haven't seen them.
It's a very true point, actually, when you think about it. I think that, the rest of the game sort of just plays out. I think Brentford, I don't know really what happened in the last sort of 10, 15 minutes of Brentford. It's almost like the wind just completely came out of their sails. It weirdly, Fulham really managed out the rest of the game extremely well. For a team that have given up 28 points in winning positions this season, at one point during the game it was 31, which is scary enough to think about. We handled the rest of that game exceptionally well. It's just so frustrating that, it's happened so late in the season that we seem to be able to deal with it and so we seem to be able to deal with the pressure. And if there was one game where there was pressure to sort of hold on to the lead, it was this one. We, as much as we like to play it down a little bit, winning at the Gtech, doing the double over Brentford is a mighty important performance by Fulham. And anything that keeps the bus stop quiet is more than worth it in my books. Lads, let's finish this review how we always do. Honourable mentions and man of the matches, please. Mozza, I'll start with you. Give us your honourable mentions and your man of the match for this game, please.
Dankeschön, Bernd Leno. Yeah, we've already said it, so I won't go over it again, but I hope he can keep that form. I mean, that is his usual self. That is his standards. So I have to give it to him. My honourable mention will be Mr. Harry Wilson. In fact, you know what? Just to back it up, so I'm not talking all blab, I'll give an honourable mention to Tom Kearney as well. You're happy now?
Yeah, something like that, mate. Something like that. AJ, and yourself, mate.
Leno actually goes to my honourable mentions list. I think there was one moment where I think I said in the group chat that we've got that he was flappy wristed for one of the opportunities. I can't remember what it was. I think we got out of jail free with that one because it was offside or something. I can't remember exactly, but I remember a flappy wristed moment for him. But I'm not going to be too harsh on him. The penalty save, general good play from him, definitely up there. but think I'm going to give it actually, despite the fact that he could have been sent off, to Kenny Tete, because he's got contract issues looming. He still managed, what was it, 2 assists in the game, as well as just an all-round good performance against what are arguably 2 of the best forward/wingers in the league at the moment. And I think that goes without saying.
Yeah, I think that's a fair sort of shout, really. When you look at the game, for me, honourable mentions. We've mentioned it. Leno, I thought, had a great game after a couple of really, poor ones. Saving a penalty is obviously going to put him right up there in terms of a shout out for it. Josh King obviously came on, looked really, really bright. Wilson came on and looked really, really bright. Gave us that extra attacking edge that we needed to, with the couple of goals that we scored. Tom Kearney would obviously, as you say, Mozza would be, a natural shout for it. But for me, my man of the match for this game is actually probably going to be Raul Jimenez. I thought he had a really hard job in the first half. I thought he had a very difficult 2 defenders to go up against. He absolutely dunked on them every single time the ball came into the box. And he was absolutely superb at winning headers against 2 of the best centre backs in the league for winning headers. If you look at Brentford and the style of play they have, they're usually very good defensively in the air, but Jimenez just absolutely came in and made them his lapdogs, and he did really well to do that. So for me, I'll go with Jimenez. But it is one of those. If you're watching, please do give us your man of the match from the game. Naturally, it's a split opinion, I think, for quite a lot of people who watch that game on Sunday, and understandably so. Just a couple of bits of admin from our side. Ful-on are currently looking for some new co-hosts to come and join the team. If you're interested in coming and joining the Ful-on team for our new series, the new season starts next year. We're looking to bring some more episodes in on Ful-on. We're looking to bring in some extra episodes and some new bits. So if you want to come and join the preview and the review shows, or come and make your own content, we're open to anyone who wants some help to create some Fulham content. You just need to be up for it. Come and send us a message on X, or send us an email to fulonfulham@gmail.com. Other than that, the Lilies have asked us to pass over the information that they are hosting another food drive on Sunday for the game with Man City. It was really successful last year. So if you are coming to the game on Sunday, please look to bring some items that can be donated to the food bank, or make a monetary donation if you're in a position that you can afford to do so. The items are on screen now, what they're looking to get. It's basically dried goods and perishables, and also some toilet roll and deodorants and stuff like that. Again, if you're in a position where you can donate, please help them out, because it's a great cause. Other than that, there's not really much else to say on this show, other than it's really nice to finally review one of these games where Fulham get a result. And we'll be looking forward to the Man City game coming up over the weekend, which will be the last game of the season. Other than that, I hope you all have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning for our Man City preview. We are sorry this one obviously got out late, but life got in the way this week, unfortunately. Thanks so much for joining me, and come on, you Whites.